The floods in Pakistan began in late July 2010, resulting from heavy monsoon rains in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Sindh, Punjab and Balochistan regions of Pakistan, which affected the Indus River basin. Approximately one-fifth of Pakistan's total land area was underwater, approximately 796,095 square kilometers. According to Pakistani government data, the floods directly affected about 20 million people, mostly by destruction of property, livelihood and infrastructure, with a death toll of close to 2,000. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon had initially asked for $460 million for emergency relief, noting that the flood was the worst disaster he had ever seen. Only 20% of the relief funds requested had been received on August 15, 2010. The UN had been concerned that aid was not arriving fast enough, and the World Health Organization reported that 10 million people were forced to drink unsafe water. The Pakistani economy was harmed by extensive damage to infrastructure and crops. Damage to structures was estimated to exceed $4 billion, and wheat crop damages were estimated to be over $500 million. Total economic impact may have been as much as $43 billion. Causes: the floods were driven by rain. The rainfall anomaly map published by NASA showed unusually intense monsoon rains attributed to La Niña ±A. On June 21, the Pakistan Meteorological Department cautioned that urban and flash flooding could occur from July to September in the north parts of the country. The same department recorded above-average rainfall in the months of July and August 2010 and monitored the flood wave progression. Discharge levels were comparable to those of the floods of 1988, 1995, and 1997. The monsoon rainfall of 2010 over the whole country was the highest since 1994 and the second highest during the last 50 years. A research by Utah State University analyzed conditional instability, moisture flux, and circulation features, and the results support a persistent increase in conditional instability during the July pre-monsoon phase, accompanied by increased frequency of heavy rainfall events. The increased convective activity during the pre-monsoon phase agrees with the projected increase in the intensity of heavy rainfall events over northern Pakistan. Large-scale circulation analysis reveals an upper-level cyclonic anomaly over and to the west of Pakistan, a feature empirically associated with weak monsoon. The analysis also suggests that the anomalous circulation in 2010 is not sporadic but rather is part of a long-term trend that defies the typical linkage of strong monsoons with an anomalous anticyclone in the upper troposphere. An article in The New Scientist attributed the cause of the exceptional rainfall to freezing of the jet stream, a phenomenon that reportedly also caused unprecedented heat waves and wildfires in Russia as well as the 2007 United Kingdom floods. In response to previous Indus River floods in 1973 and 1976, Pakistan created the Federal Flood Commission in 1977. The FFC operates under Pakistan's Ministry of Water and Power. It is charged with executing flood control projects and protecting lives and property of Pakistanis from the impact of floods. Since its inception, the FFC has received Rs $87.8 billion. FFC documents show that numerous projects were initiated, funded and completed, but reports indicate that little work has actually been done due to ineffective leadership and corruption. Flooding and impact. Floods equals. Monsoon rains were forecast to continue into early August and were described as the worst in this area in the last 80 years. The Pakistan Meteorological Department reported that over 200 millimeters of rain fell over a 24-hour period in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Punjab. A record-breaking 274 millimeters rain fell in Peshawar during 24 hours. The previous record was 187 millimeters of rain in April 2009. On July 30, 500,000 or more people had been displaced from their homes. On July 30, Manuel Besler, head of the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, stated that 36 districts were involved, and 950,000 people were affected, although within a day, reports increased that number to as high as 1 million, and by mid-August they increased the number to nearly 20 million affected. By mid-August, According to the governmental Federal Flood Commission, the floods had caused the deaths of at least 1,540 people, while 2,088 people had received injuries. 557,226 houses had been destroyed, and over 6 million people had been displaced. 1 month later, the tally had risen to 1,781 deaths, 2,966 people with injuries, and more than 1.89 million homes destroyed. The Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Provincial Minister of Information, Mian Iftikhar Hussain, said the infrastructure of this province was already destroyed by terrorism. Whatever was left was finished off by these floods. He also called the floods the worst calamity in our history. 4 million Pakistanis were left with food shortages. The Karakoram Highway, which connects Pakistan with China, was closed after a bridge was destroyed. The ongoing devastating floods in Pakistan will have a severe impact on an already vulnerable population, according to the International Committee of the Red Cross. In addition to all the other damage the floods caused, floodwater destroyed much of the healthcare infrastructure in the worst affected areas, leaving inhabitants especially vulnerable to waterborne disease. In Sindh, the Indus River burst its banks near Sukkur on August 8, submerging the village of Morkhan Jatoi. Law and order disappeared, mainly in Sindh. Looters took advantage of the floods by ransacking abandoned homes using boats. In early August, the heaviest flooding moved southward along the Indus River from severely affected northern regions toward western Punjab, where at least 1,400,000 acres of cropland were destroyed, and toward the southern province of Sindh. The affected crops included cotton, sugarcane, rice, pulses, tobacco and animal fodder. Floodwaters and rain destroyed 700,000 acres of cotton, 200,000 acres each of rice and cane, 500,000 tons of wheat and 300,000 acres of animal fodder. According to the Pakistan Cotton Ginners Association, the floods destroyed 2 million bales of cotton, which increased futures prices. 170,000 citizens of the historic Sindh town of Thatta fled advancing flood waters on August 27. By mid-September the floods generally had begun to recede, although in some areas, such as Sindh, new floods were reported. The majority of the displaced persons had not been able to return home. Heavy rainfalls recorded during the wet spell of July 2010 heavy rainfalls of more than 200 mm were recorded during the 4-day wet spell from 27 to July 30, 2010 in the provinces of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Punjab based on data from the Pakistan Meteorological Department. Indicates new record. The power infrastructure of Pakistan also took a severe blow from the floods, which damaged about 10,000 transmission lines and transformers, feeders and powerhouses in different flood-hit areas. Floodwater inundated Jinnah hydropower and 150 powerhouses in Gilgit. The damage caused a power shortfall of 3.135 gigawatts. Black death due to lack of clean drinking water and sanitation pose a serious new risk to flood victims. On August 14, the first documented case of cholera emerged in the town of Mingora, striking fear into millions of stranded flood victims, who were already suffering from gastroenteritis and diarrhea. Pakistan also faced a malaria outbreak. The International Red Cross reported that unexploded ordnance, such as mines and artillery shells, had been flushed downstream by the floods from areas in Kashmir and Waziristan and scattered in low-lying areas, posing a future risk to returning inhabitants. The United Nations estimated that 800,000 people were cut off by floods in Pakistan and were only reachable by air. It also stated that at least 40 more helicopters are needed to ferry life-saving aid to increasingly desperate people. Many of those cut off are in the mountainous northwest, where roads and bridges have been swept away. By order of President Asif Ali Zardari, there were no official celebrations of Pakistan's 63rd Independence Day on August 14, due to the calamity. Potential long-term effects. Food floods submerged 17 million acres of Pakistan's most fertile cropland, killed 200,000 livestock and washed away massive amounts of grain. A major concern was that farmers would be unable to meet the fall deadline for planting new seeds in 2010, which implied a loss of food production in 2011, and potential long-term food shortages. The agricultural damage reached more than $2.9 billion, and included over 700,000 acres of lost cotton crops, 200,000 acres of sugarcane and 200,000 acres of rice, in addition to the loss of over 500,000 tons of stocked wheat, 300,000 acres of animal fodder and the stored grain losses. Agricultural crops such as cotton, rice, and sugarcane and to some extent mangoes were badly affected in Punjab, according to a Harvest Trading's Pakistan spokesman. He called for the international community to fully participate in the rehabilitation process, as well as for the revival of agricultural crops in order to get better GDP growth in the future. In affected Multan division in South Punjab, some people were seen to be engaging in price gouging in this disaster, raising prices up to Rs 130 per kilogram. Some called for Zarai Taraqqiyati Bank Limited to write off all agricultural loans in the affected areas in Punjab, Sindh and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, especially for small farmers. On September 24, the World Food Programme announced that about 70% of Pakistan's population, mostly in rural areas, did not have adequate access to proper nutrition. Already resurgent in the federally administered tribal areas in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, agricultural devastation brought on by the floods left Pakistan more susceptible to an increase in poppy cultivation, given the crop's resiliency and relatively few inputs. Infrastructure floods damaged an estimated 2,433 miles of highway and 3,508 miles of railway, and repairs are expected to cost at least $158 million and $131 million, respectively. Public building damage is estimated at $1 billion. Aid donors estimate that 5,000 schools were destroyed. Climate-resilient model villages. Following the 2010 floods, the Punjab government subsequently constructed 22 disaster-resilient model villages, comprising 1885 single-story homes, together with schools and health centres. The Climate and Development Knowledge Network was engaged to advise on how to make the new infrastructure resilient to extreme weather events occurring in the future. The idea was that the villages should provide triple wins of limiting greenhouse gas emissions, promoting development and building resilience to climatic events. Now inhabited, the model villages incorporate biogas plants, solar energy systems, livestock sheds, covered sewerage, brick-paved streets, parks, play areas, markets and community centers. Taliban insurgency It was reported that the flood would divert Pakistani military forces from fighting the Pakistani Taliban insurgents in the northwest to help in the relief effort, giving Taliban fighters a reprieve to regroup. Helping flood victims gave the U.S. an opportunity to improve its image. Pakistani Taliban also engaged in relief efforts, making inroads where the government was absent or seen as corrupt. As the flood dislodged many property markers, it was feared that governmental delay and corruption would give the Taliban the opportunity to settle these disputes swiftly. In August, a Taliban spokesperson asked the Pakistani government to reject Western help from Christians and Jews, and claimed that the Taliban could raise $20 million to replace that aid. According to a U.S. official, the TTP issued a threat saying that it would launch attacks against foreigners participating in flood relief operations. In response, the United Nations said it was reviewing security arrangements for its workers. The World Health Organization stated that work in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province was already suffering because of security concerns. A self-proclaimed Taliban spokesperson based in Orakzai told the Express Tribune, "We have not issued any such threat. And we don't have any plans to attack relief workers." Nevertheless, 3 American Christians were reported killed by the Taliban on August 25 in the Swat Valley. Political effects The flood's aftermath was thought likely contribute to public perception of inefficiency and to political unrest. These political effects of the floods were compared with that of the 1970 Ebola cyclone. The skepticism within the country extended to outside donors. Less than 20% of the pledged aid was scheduled to go through the government, according to Prime Minister Yusuf Reza Gilani, with the remainder flowing through non-governmental organizations. The government's response was complicated by insurgencies, growing urban sectarian discord, increasing suicide bombings against core institutions and relations with India. Economic effects. On September 7, 2010, the International Labour Organization reported that the floods had cost more than 5.3 million jobs, stating that productive and labor-intensive job creation programs are urgently needed to lift millions of people out of poverty that has been aggravated by flood damage. Forecasts estimated that the GDP growth rate of 4% prior to the floods would turn to a 2% to a 5%, followed by several additional years of below-trend growth. As a result, Pakistan was unlikely to meet the International Monetary Fund's target budget deficit cap of 5.1% of GDP, and the existing $55 billion of external debt was set to grow. Crop losses were expected to impact textile manufacturing, Pakistan's largest export sector. The loss of over 10 million head of livestock along with the loss of other crops would reduce agricultural production by more than 15%. Toyota and Unilever Pakistan said that the floods would sap growth, necessitating production cuts as people coped with the destruction. Parvez Gayas, the chief executive of Pakistan's largest automotive manufacturer Toyota, described the economy's state as fragile. Nationwide car sales were predicted to fall as much as 25%, forcing automakers to reduce production in October 2010 from the prior level of 200 cars per day. Milk supplies fell by 15%, which caused the retail price of milk to increase by Rs 4 per litre. Relief efforts. By the end of July 2010, Pakistan had appealed to international donors for help in responding to the disaster, having provided 21 helicopters and 150 boats to assist affected people, according to its National Disaster Management Authority. At that time the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan had provided 7 helicopters. The United Nations launched its relief efforts and appealed for $460 million to provide immediate help, including food, shelter and clean water. On August 14, UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon visited Pakistan to oversee and discuss the relief efforts. A Pakistani army spokesman said the troops had been deployed in all affected areas and had rescued thousands of people. Prime Minister Yusuf Reza Gilani visited the province and directed the Pakistan Navy to help evacuate the flood victims. By early August, more than 352,291 people have been rescued. By the end of August, the Relief Web Financial Tracking Service indicated that worldwide donations for humanitarian assistance had come to $687 million, with a further $324 million promised in uncommitted pledges. At that time, the Secretary-General Ekmeleddin Ihsanoglu of the Organization of the Islamic Conference stated that Muslim countries, organizations and individuals had pledged close to $1 billion to assist in Pakistan's flood emergency, a statement placed in doubt by findings from the UN Financial Tracking Service, which indicated that only 3 of the OIC's 56 member states Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Kuwait had pledged more than single-digit millions. Pakistan's Prime Minister Yusuf Reza Gilani stated that by the end of August, Saudi Arabia's support exceeded that of the US, yet both UN data and data from Pakistan's Disaster Management Authority failed to support this claim. With need for substantial support to repair infrastructure, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton suggested that the Pakistani government enlarge its tax base by asking the wealthy citizens of Pakistan to contribute more for their country. By that time both the U.S. and the EU each had contributed about $450 million, a $395 million for the relief effort. According to UNOCHA, by November 2010, a total of close to $1.792 billion had been committed in humanitarian support, the largest amount by the U.S., followed by private individuals and organizations in Saudi Arabia. Response by national governments. Afghanistan Finance Minister Omar Zakhilwal handed a check worth $1 million to Pakistani Ambassador Mohammad Sadiq at the end of a press conference in Afghan capital Kabul. Algeria donated a $100,000 to Pakistan. Argentina sent drinkable water. Australia announced that it will double its aid program to Pakistan to $66.5 million in official development assistance in 2010 Euro 2011, as well as committing two C-17 Globemaster aircraft to deliver emergency supplies and to assist relief efforts in deploying a medical task force consisting of up to 180 personnel and more than 33 tons of equipment. Austria donated a $5.6 million to Pakistan. Azerbaijan gave $2 million financial assistance to help the victims and eliminate the aftermath of the disaster. The Azerbaijani embassy in Pakistan said the Azerbaijani president, Ilham Aliyev, ordered to send two Il-76 planes with the humanitarian assistance on board to Pakistan. One of the planes delivered 40 tons of humanitarian cargo to Pakistan. Also, the staff of Azerbaijan embassy in Pakistan also transferred its 2 days' salary worth around $2,000 to relief fund. Bahrain donated $6.9 million to Pakistan. Belarus donated blankets, tents, canned meat, water, and medicines, all worth around $200,000. Belgium donated $150,000 for the victims. Botswana donated $103,040. Brazil donated $0.7 million through World Food Programme or life-saving assistance to the affected. Canada announced that it would donate $2 million Canadian worth of emergency aid. $750,000 Canadian are expected to be donated to the ICRC for distribution of shelter materials and water, sanitation and health services, while the remainder goes to the WFP to provide much-needed food assistance. On August 14, the Canadian government announced an additional $32 million Canadian in aid. The Canadian government announced on August 22 that it will match, dollar for dollar, citizen donations made to registered charities between August 2 and September 12, later extended to October 3, 2010. On September 14, an additional $7.5 million Canadian in relief aid was announced by the Canadian government. On September 2010, China had provided 320 million yuan worth of humanitarian supplies to Pakistan in 4 batches with $200 million more aid promised by Premier Wen Jiabei, which will total 1.86 billion yuan. As Pakistan's neighbor and all-weather friend, China empathizes with Pakistan on the heavy casualties and property loss caused by the natural disasters, said Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Jiang Yu. It initially announced that it would provide emergency aid worth 10 million yuan to help the flood victims. The People's Liberation Army donated another 10 million yuan to Pakistan. The Chinese Red Cross also gave $50,000 in cash to Pakistan. The Chinese ambassador to Pakistan traveled to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and expressed his condolences to those affected by the tragedy. On August 13, China announced another emergency humanitarian aid worth 50 million yuan, bringing the total official Chinese relief aid then to more than 70 million yuan, approximately $10.3 million, to the flood-affected Pakistani people. A Chinese search and rescue team arrived in the southern Pakistani city of Thatta, Sindh province, where heavy floods swept away hundreds of villages. The Chinese rescue team, consisting of more than 60 members, set up tents and field hospitals to provide medical services to flood victims. The Red Cross Society of China and some of China's local governments, including Ningxia Hui Autonomous Region and Sichuan Province, had also offered cash and material assistance to Pakistan. China announced another aid package of 200 million RMB on September 6, saying it was sincere, timely and unconditional, and that China would continue to offer Pakistan support and help for the reconstruction. Chinese ambassador in Pakistan Louis Zhan, while meeting with Pakistan Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani, said that Chinese total contribution reached $50 million, with another batch of $200 million promised by China's Premier Wen Jiabei on September 23 at the UN summit in NY. On September 20, China dispatched 4 of its military helicopters to aid in the search and rescue to Pakistan, which is the first time China had ever dispatched military helicopters overseas to perform such duties. The helicopters are also carrying flood relief aid. Cyprus donated a $131,062 to Pakistan. The Czech military have sent 24 flights with humanitarian aid. Denmark donated 63 million Danish kroner in relief efforts and another 130 million Danish kroner in further development aid. Egypt donated medicine, medical supplies and foodstuffs. Estonia donated 64,000 A. The European Union released a 10 million to help Pakistan's flood victims on August 11, as part of emergency aid to flood-stricken country. By August 18, the EU had committed to spending a 70 million on aid for victims of the floods. Finland government donated a 1.2 million for humanitarian assistance to the flood victims. A 600,000 were channeled through the World Health Organization, a 400,000 through the UNHCR and a 200,000 through Finn Church Aid. France donated 1.05 million A and 35 tons of emergency supplies, tarpaulins, tanks, blankets, jerry cans, kitchen sets, water purification tablets, 200 shelters and anti-cholera medicines. Georgia donated a 100,000 in aid to Pakistan. Germany initially committed a 1 million for the victims, which was further increased to a 2 million on August 6. On August 12, Germany announced a 13 million aid package. On August 13 Germany increased its aid commitment by a 10 million to now a 25 million in direct help plus a 43 million via contributions through international organizations with which it is associated. In addition, there have been private donations to charities in the scale of a 24 million up to August 18. The Muslim community in Germany also donated generously for the victims of Pakistan floods. Greece donated a 100,000. Hong Kong donated 3 million Hong Kong dollars to World Vision for a relief project for flood victims in Pakistan. Hungary donated a 50,000. Iceland contributed 23 million Icelandic kroner to emergency aid in areas impacted by the monsoon floods in Pakistan. Indonesia. The government of Indonesia dispatched a cargo flight carrying humanitarian assistance of $1 million for the flood victims. The relief assistance, which arrived at the Trikala Air Base by a chartered cargo flight, consisted of 15 tons of emergency supplies, included 4.5 tons of ready-to-eat meals packets, 3 tons of medicines, 5 tons of powdered milk for children, 4,000 blankets and 4,000 sarongs on behalf of the government of the Republic of Indonesia. The donation of the relief goods was handed over by the Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia H.E. Mr. Ishak Latukan Sina to the State Minister for Information and Broadcasting Mr. Sumsam Ali Shah Bukhari at the Trikala Air Base on August 7, 2010. India, on August 13, offered condolences and $5 million in financial aid. Pakistan accepted the offer on August 20, a day after the meeting between Indian and Pakistani prime ministers. On September 1, 2010, India raised the aid amount to $25 million. Nearly 400 Indian medical staff have been waiting for the Pakistan government's visa approval to help flood victims. India had also already supplied the first consignment of 25 truckloads of potato to Pakistan. Iran had committed over 400 tons of relief goods, out of which 330 tons had already been delivered by the Iranian transport aircraft as of August 24, 2010. Iran also offered to set up field hospitals and community centers for flood victims in Pakistan. In response to UN's appeal for help at New York, Iran committed $10 million towards the flood relief. In addition to this fund, Imam Khomeini Relief Committee was directed to collect private donations from Iranians and donate it to Pakistani government. Iranian Interior Minister also visited Pakistan as the head of a humanitarian mission assessing the needs of Pakistani people in order to facilitate the distribution of Iranian aid to Pakistan. During the visit, the Pakistani Interior Minister was invited to Tehran for discussing the flood situation among other matters, and the Pakistani minister visited Iran on August 22, 2010. Iranian Interior Minister during a meeting with Pakistani Interior Minister informed the latter that Iran is the third largest donor nation in terms of delivered aid. Iran also assured Pakistan of its continued support and aid into future. In order to better supply relief to flood victims, Iranian President Dr. Ahmadinejad would visit the flood-hit areas of Pakistan. Iran also donated 50,000 tents and sent 500 doctors and nurses to help with ongoing international relief operation. Iran started to send an additional 1,100 tons of relief goods to Pakistan on September 5, 2010 as part of its ongoing relief operation. Iran is also setting up 15 relief and medical camps in every Pakistani province, each capable of holding 1,000 families. On September 12, 2010, Iran allocated an additional $100 million for Pakistan flood relief. 51% of all relief distributed by International Red Crescent in Pakistan had been donated by Iran. Iran announced on November 8, 2010 that in addition to 5,300 tons of aid cargo shipped by Iran to Pakistan, the Iranian Hajj pilgrims will donate money and the 103,000 slaughtered sheep of Iranian pilgrims to Pakistan. Ireland. An initial $200,000 was donated by the Government of Republic of Ireland. An additional $550,000 was added on August 9, 2010. Then the total was $960,000. The Irish media were critical of the country's government for providing less than half the aid it donated to Haiti after the earthquake there. A $1.19 million was added on August 19, bringing the total at that stage to a $2 million, the total given to the Haiti disaster. Minister for Overseas Development Peter Power, TD, said at the time that more aid would be forthcoming from Ireland and that the country had provided a proportionally greater amount than most other European countries. The Irish public had provided an additional sum of more than a $2.5 million by August 20. Ireland proved to be the most generous European country in donating aid to Pakistan. Israel offered aid to Pakistan, but the officials said they have not received an answer from Pakistan on whether or not the aid should be forwarded. Italy provided a $1.33 million, including a humanitarian aid flight carrying emergency supplies such as medicines, generators, water purifiers and containers. Japan provided $230,000 for emergency relief goods, while additional assistance of up to $3 million was committed for the disaster aftermath. In a press release, Japan announced to extend the aid to $14.4 million in total, in the form of the provision of emergency relief goods, as well as food, water, sanitation etc. Japan is also expected to send a unit of 6 helicopters and some 300 SDF troops. Jordan. A plane carrying food and medical supplies left for Pakistan on August 15. It carried 25-member medical team, including 9 doctors, as well as 21,000 typhoid and cholera vaccines. Kosovo donated a $150,000 to the government of Pakistan's flood relief efforts. Kuwait donated $5 million to victims of the severe floods in Pakistan, according to Kuwait Red Crescent Society. The Kuwaiti government lifted a ban on collecting donations. This exception was made on the order to collect aid for floods in Pakistan. Donation camps were set up in mosques and shopping malls across the country. The fundraising campaign named Kuwait is With You, which began grandly at the Grand Mosque of Kuwait, where close to 1,000 worshippers donated generously for Pakistan. Lebanon sent a plane to Pakistan with humanitarian aid. Lithuania donated 50,000 Lithuanian lighters. Luxembourg donated a $2,364,621 to the victims. Malaysia donated $1 million to help people in flood-hit Pakistan. The Maldives collected 10 million Maldivian rupiah, $1 million for Pakistan. The people are collecting more money. All the Maldivian broadcasting channels held a 24-hour telethon to help Pakistan and got 1 million Maldivian rupiah. Malta donated a $13,106. Mauritius donated $300,000. Monaco donated a $127,065. Morocco sent a plane carrying 12 tons of humanitarian aid. Nepal cabinet provided cash assistance of $10 million for flood victims in Pakistan. Netherlands donated a €3.6 million. Netherlands. The population of the Netherlands collected more than €17 million for relief aid in Pakistan. The Netherlands provided an additional €5 million for victims of the catastrophic flooding in Pakistan on November 5, 2010. New Zealand donated $4 million New Zealand dollars towards relief efforts in Pakistan. Nigeria also assisted Pakistan by donating $1 million US. Norway facilitated relief operation by providing 30 million Norwegian kroner. 9 million Norwegian kroner were given to UN Central Emergency Response Fund, and 21 million Norwegian kroner were allocated to UNICEF, Pakistan Emergency Response Fund, and Pakistan Red Crescent Society. Oman donated $500,000 for the victims. The Oman charitable organization sent 2,336 mt of aid to Pakistan, comprising foodstuffs, water, dates, tents, relief supplies and tools. Palestine donated 3,000 tons of humanitarian supplies to Pakistan. Poland donated a 196,592. Qatar Red Crescent appealed for QR 6.5 million and as part of its Ramadan campaign allocated QR 1.5 million to its humanitarian mission. Qatar Charity started delivering food packs worth QR 7 million in collaboration with the World Food Programme. It also plans to airlift 80 tons of emergency relief items, totaling around QR 2.2 million. Russia have sent 2 Russian Il-76 cargo planes with emergency relief. Samoa donated $20,000. Saudi Arabia allocated more than $361.99 million for the relief operation, topping the list of all donating countries. $105.29 million donated by the Saudi government, $14.7 million donated by the Saudi Fund for Development, and $242 million collected through Saudi Public Fund Relief. Saudi Arabia released a statement announcing the establishment of an air bridge to ferry relief supplies to Pakistan. 30 major air relief shipments were sent to land in Punjab, Sindh, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, in what is the largest air bridge in support of flood victims in Pakistan. The Saudi ambassador Abdulaziz bin Ibrahim Al Ghadir completely dedicated himself to relief efforts and hardly visited his office in Islamabad because of his constant field presence in Lahore, Multan and Hyderabad. As of August 30, relief goods worth $40 million had been delivered and some $67 million worth of relief goods were in the pipeline. $5.3 million had been handed over to National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) Pakistan in cash. 2 100-bed mobile hospitals were also donated by the Saudi government to the flood victims. Saudi public response was also staggering, as women donated jewelry to fundraising camps. In the aftermath of floods, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal and Princess Amira Al Tawil visited the flood-affected areas of Pakistan and took 10 tons of relief materials with them. Singapore donated $50,000, 800 water filters and 10,000 blankets. Slovakia donated a 170,380. Slovakia also donated power generators, water pumps and tents. Slovenia donated a 13,106 to Pakistan. Sri Lanka dispatched 18 metric tons of relief goods worth approximately $3 million to Pakistan on a Sri Lankan Air Force C-130. The Health Ministry will also send be in the 15-member special medical team to Pakistan. Spain have sent out 2 aircraft containing 15 tons of aid material for the victims. Sweden will send 8 water cleaning aggregates which together have a capacity to support 18,000 people with clean drinking water. Switzerland donated 3 million Swiss francs to Pakistan. Sudan donated 10 tons of food, medicine and shelter equipment as well as a medical team including all disciplines. Syria announced that it would send 35 tons of foodstuffs, medical supplies, medicines and many other necessary materials to help flood victims. Thailand donated $75,000. Tunisia sent a plane with 13 tons of food products, medicine, blankets and clothes. Turkey launched the biggest aid campaign in modern Turkish history. Turkey donated a $5 million to Pakistan initially, in addition to 115 tons of humanitarian aid consisting of food packages, blankets, sleeping bags and beds delivered to Pakistan Red Crescent Society. By August 18, Turkey donated more than $13 million and issued a rallying cry and launched a large-scale relief effort for flood-ravaged Pakistan. Turkey also sent ever largest humanitarian aid ship Tiffin with 4,800 tons of aid materials. Turkey also sent a train carrying humanitarian aid for the flood-stricken Pakistan. The train is loaded with humanitarian aid collected by Turkey's Sabah ATV Group and Turkish Red Crescent. The aid consists of 300 prefabricated houses, 2,000 food parcels, 930 sacks of flour, hygienic materials, dried food, diapers and potable water. Apart from the state and its organizations, a number of Turkish businessmen also initiated aid campaigns for Pakistan. The Turkish business community in Belgium also donated an amount of $30,000. The Turkish government also announced building of a Turkish town in the flood-stricken Pakistan. Turkey donated a total of $11 million to Pakistan. Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan also visited parts of flood-stricken Pakistan, Erdogan to witness aid efforts, including the completion of a village of 2,000 prefabricated houses built by the Turkish Red Crescent near Multan after the flood. When the Turkish Prime Minister could not come to Pakistan due to his engagements, he sent his wife Emine Erdogan to help the flood victims. She immediately came to Pakistan and personally gave the keys of the houses constructed by Turkish welfare organization to the flood affectees. She soon after her visit to Pakistan, not only mobilized the international community by writing personal letters to the spouses of the other heads of states and governments but also donated her personal jewelry including her precious necklace, for the flood relief efforts. Prime Minister, Yousaf Reza Gilani conferred on becoming Emine Erdogan, Hilal-i-Pakistan the highest civilian medal of Pakistan for her efforts for the flood victims. In a moving act of affection and a deep desire to help, a 9-year-old Turkish girl Merve Tekene donated her 1 year's pocket money and her doll as a contribution to Pakistan's flood relief effort. Turkmenistan sent about 40 tons of cargo, including food and medicines. United Arab Emirates ordered for sending humanitarian assistance on emergency basis and sent a team of 42 troops of the UAE Armed Forces Relief Team along with fleet of Chinook helicopters which evacuated more than 3,000 people. The UAE force in Afghanistan distributed 30 mt of relief materials and food to flooded areas of the country. The UAE force worked jointly with the Armed Force of Pakistan in the areas of Punjab, Sindh and Balochistan. The UAE also pledged to donate $5 million for the flood relief operations in Pakistan. A telethon campaign named, Arnakam, by the Red Crescent Authority raised 72 million United Arab Emirates dirhams through shopping centers, mobile phone messages, radio and television stations. Her Highness Fatima bint Mubarak al-Khatbi, the wife of the founder and the first president of UAE, personally donated 5 million United Arab Emirates dirhams towards the aid of floods victims in Pakistan. The Red Crescent also dispatched 70 tons of essential relief supplies. UAE through Red Crescent also dispatched two ships carrying basic necessities for the flood victims worth $10 million. Mobile military medical field hospitals were also set up by the UAE in parts of Punjab, Sindh and Balochistan to provide medical aid. The UAE ambassador to Pakistan Ali Saif Al-Awani also devoted himself and supervised, coordinated and facilitated the relief operations and also visited mobile medical hospital and attended massive vaccination campaigns in the affected parts of the country. UAE will also build an Emirates village in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa at the cost of $8 million with 20,000 tents accommodating 140,000 people. Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan also announced the vaccination of 750,000 children in Sindh. Recently, UAE launched a $100 million project for assisting Pakistan's flood-affected people. The project will include creating job opportunities in the flood-hit areas, with focus on education, public health, roads and bridges. The United Kingdom committed a £134 million to the relief and recovery effort, in addition to bringing forward a £10 million bridge project to replace some of those washed away. Private donations coordinated via the Disasters Emergency Committee totaled more than £60 million. Interventions carried out or underway include the flying in of 400 metric tons of aid, and providing tents, shelter kits, blankets, water containers and nutritional interventions. Former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown also acknowledged the slow international response and urged British public to donate generously. Additionally, Nick Clegg, the Deputy Prime Minister, described the international response as absolutely pitiful on August 16. One person to respond was His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, who established a major recovery fund to help support projects on health, education, livelihoods and reconstruction. The Pakistan Recovery Fund will raise a minimum of £82 million towards this cause. The United States stated that it would provide 56,000 ready meals on August 1 and 12 temporary bridges and 2 water filtration plants to help the flood victims as part of a $10 million aid pledge. Commenting on the floods, the United States Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, stated, "The Pakistani people are friends and partners, and the United States is standing with them as the tragic human toll mounts from flooding in northwest Pakistan." Hillary Clinton personally donated $10 for flood relief in an effort to encourage people to donate, no matter how small the amount. On August 10, U.S. announced another $20 million to provide relief for the affected, taking the flood-related aid from United States to $55 million. On August 11, U.S. increased its assistance for flood-ravaged Pakistan to $71 million. Additionally, United States initially provided 6 U.S. Army CH-47 Chinook helicopters from their duty in Afghanistan. On August 12, it provided 2 more CH-53E Super Stallion helicopters to assist Pakistan Army in their relief efforts. The 2 helicopters are first of 19 helicopters that U.S. Defense Secretary Robert Gates urgently ordered for Pakistan in next few days. Senator John Kerry also visited Pakistan in order to survey the damage from the disaster, and to raise U.S. public awareness about Pakistani relief needs. On August 13, U.S. increased its aid to $84 million as USS Peleliu gets ready to dispatch more helicopters pledged earlier by U.S. Defense Secretary. In addition to this, the United States is providing $3 million to the World Health Organization to expand the capacity of Pakistan's disease early warning system and to establish the first 15 treatment centers for waterborne illness. It is also working with the humanitarian community to spread awareness through radio stations regarding safety precautions against waterborne diseases. On August 14, further 2 CH-53E Super Stallion and a MH-53E Sea Dragon arrived in Pakistan to work with Pakistan military in flood-affected areas. On Thursday 20 August, the United States pledged an additional $60 million to the UN flood relief effort in Pakistan, bringing its total contribution to $150 million in a move designed to encourage other governments and private donors to boost their aid. On Friday 27 August, the USS Kearsarge and her amphibious ready group will deploy to Pakistan to assist. Uzbekistan sent €300,000 worth of humanitarian aid to Pakistan. Vietnam donated $50,000. Yemen donated relief materials including medicine and edible oil. World Bank provided $1.3 million to Pakistani government for relief work. The bank additionally approved a loan of $900 million for medium and long-term reconstruction. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization launched a major project titled OE Strategic Strengthening of Flood Warning and Management Capacity of Pakistan under the leadership of Professor Shahbaz Khan, in cooperation with the Government of Japan. Primary objective of the proposed project was to reduce human and socio-economic impacts of flooding in Pakistan, to improve the social, economic, and ecological benefits of floods, and to foster safer human settlements near floodplains. Accomplishing this objective required enabling the counter-unregistered trademark's capacity to deal with floods and watershed management in a holistic manner by developing around 3 interrelated pillars, that is strategic augmenting of flood forecasting and hazard maps, data sharing platforms, and capacity development. These pillars were further divided into 5 components which incorporated short-term and medium-term interventions to provide the much-needed support for immediate strengthening of early warning systems, while building on lessons learned from the 2010 floods to address the long-term forecasting, disaster management and data sharing issues. Project is now successfully complete. International Monetary Fund also offered to discuss how to help Pakistan manage the economic impact of the floods. Asian Development Bank offered a loan of $2 billion for the reconstruction efforts. Islamic Development Bank offered a loan of $11 million for the reconstruction efforts. Response by non-governmental organizations. The Islamic Turkish NGO IHH sent 450 tons of supplies on a train and another on a cargo aeroplane, as well as 3,000 tons of medications, medical materials, textile products, tents, blankets, cleaning materials and kitchenware. IHH opened 10 water purification units to supply clean drinking water. The foundation also set up 2 tent camps. A camp of 70 tents was set up in Nowshera, a city northwest of Islamabad, to house 500 people displaced by flooding. The camps include tents for schooling and for medical doctors. After the urgent relief works, IHH started to build permanent social projects for the upcoming winter season. In the first phase, 100 permanent houses for the flood victims are to be built. DEC and member charities, the UK-based Disasters Emergency Committee, reported that as of October 5 its flood relief appeal had raised over £60 million. As of September 14, DEC member agencies and their partners had helped nearly 3 million people. For the first time in the DEC's 45-year history, they saw donations rise rather than fall in the second week of an appeal, and they then saw them rise again in the third week. Oxfam is currently providing clean water and hot meals to over 180,000 people. In total, Oxfam aims to reach around 900,000 people with clean water, sanitation kits and hygiene supplies. Save the Children is using helicopters, donkeys and boats to deliver doctors and medical supplies to families cut off by the water. It has sent a medical team and medicines on donkeys in Alai, treated more than 1,000 patients, and plans to distribute 800 shelter kits, including tarpaulins, jerry cans and plastic glasses, to flood-affected families. The Red Cross has dispatched food and shelter items for distribution by Pakistan Red Crescent volunteers to tens of thousands of people. Additionally, it has provided medicines and medical supplies to hospitals and health centers, enabling Pakistan Red Crescent healthcare units to treat thousands of people. Care International has provided water purification tablets, tents, family hygiene kits, kitchen sets, tarpaulins and mosquito nets to thousands of survivors. Mobile and basic healthcare units have provided health services to around 4,500 people. Islamic Relief is distributing 3,570 family hygiene kits in Nowshera and Mardan districts, benefiting 24,990 people. Also, it is distributing 2,850 household kits and 2,850 kitchen sets to benefit 19,950 people. Pakistani cricket star Shahid Afridi is working with the NGO in raising the aid for the disaster. Concern has helped 18,000 people and 6,500 people in Shahzada district have received emergency packages. Concern had raised more than £1 million in public donations from the Irish public by August 13, 2010. World Vision is currently providing clean water and food in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and is treating people at 5 health clinics. The agency plans to reach 150,000 people during the first 90 days with relief items including water purification packets, hygiene kits, tents, cooking items and food. It also aims to provide cash for work activities to 1,000 people, open additional health posts, set up 20 child-friendly spaces and 20 women-friendly spaces to provide a safe and comfortable environment for children and women to interact with peers and receive support. World Vision plans to expand these efforts as floodwaters recede and more communities become accessible. Other charities, Al-Khidmat Foundation, a large number of Al-Khidmat volunteers, vehicles and ambulances took part in rescue operations in different areas, saving numerous lives and helping to evacuate stranded populations from flooded places. Over 22,000 volunteers took part in the relief efforts, establishing approximately 1,000 relief camps and around 700 medical camps in the affected areas. Ert Search and Rescue, a UK-based search and rescue charity, deployed 10 specialist members of their international disaster response team to Pakistan. The team of volunteer water rescue technicians, doctors and paramedics travelled to the Sindh province with humanitarian aid such as tents, water, ORS, food, blankets and medicines etc., all paid for by public and corporate charitable donation. The team also brought 10 new 17.5-foot rescue powerboats from the UK to use in the rescue missions while there. Focus Humanitarian Assistance has deployed disaster assessment response team members, community emergency response teams as well as search and rescue teams to assist in coordination with AKDN helicopters with evacuations, transport relief supplies and medial teams. In collaboration with the Pakistani Army, Focus has transported 200 MT of relief goods, 126 MT of food across Gilgit-Baltistan, Sindh, and Chitral. With the support of the Canadian International Development Agency, Focus is also supplying tents, tarpaulins, water, hygiene kits and blankets, as well as basic health care services, to Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan, Sindh and Punjab provinces. Humanity First, in collaboration with NCHD, has dispatched over 800 tents as well as mattresses, blankets, floor mats, buckets and shoes. Over 600 water survival boxes have been provided in collaboration with the British Rotary charity World Water Works Limited. HF has handed out 44 tons of food aid, and has assisted over 22,000 people, but the response is expected to rise. Moreover, with 31 medical camps, over 5,000 patients have been seen. Heritage Foundation of Pakistan dispatched immediate relief packages including food and non-food items to more than 500 families in the district of Swat in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. By September 2, 2010, the Green Caravan nucleus houses were being constructed. These are low-cost houses that employ materials such as bamboo, lime, mud and stone, which have a low carbon footprint. More than 150 houses were at hand within a month, in various stages of construction, with almost 70 houses complete. Each unit costs $550, and it is hoped that 350 units will be constructed in the region. Funding has been secured by different sources, which include a grant from the Scottish Government, the Swiss Pakistan Society, and many other private donor organisations and individuals. HF is planning the next phase of its programme, which will focus on the empowerment of women through skill training and livelihood opportunities. Mercy Malaysia has set up 2 clinics in the districts of Nowshera and Shahzada, each with a local doctor and 3 medical staff. It also sent a team on August 12 to support the clinics. The NGO donated 5 units of ultrafiltration water systems worth $15,000 and donated $40,000 worth of tents, food and drinking water. ICNA Relief Canada is actively providing emergency relief across the country. ICNA Relief is running medical relief camps in 13 locations, distributing free medication and providing ambulance services. ICNA Relief is also providing food packages and shelters to the flood victims. Tent distribution is being made to help those whose houses have been washed away by the floods. ICNA Relief Canada has appealed to its donors for $5 million raise. ICNA Relief Canada. Retrieved September 1, 2011. Muslim charity has launched a £2 million appeal to help the victims of floods in Pakistan and raised a £2 million is on October 2010. Muslim charity targets to benefit 150,000 people through its activities. Muslim charity is providing food to 100,000 people for the month of Ramadan, clean drinking water to 50,000 people, medical facilities to 30,000 people through its 18 medical camps and shelter to 8,000 people. In its second phase of relief work, Muslim charity targets to rebuild 500 house, 2 primary schools, 2 medical centers and 10 mosques in Pakistan. Tra-Cubed had raised around $700,000 in donations from the Irish public by August 13, 2010. The organization later said there were difficulties accessing food. UNICEF has set up 24 medical camps in the affected areas, benefiting around 1 million people. Giving Children Hope donated medical supplies and other aid to several medical centers in Peshawar. Copyright Dessin Sans Frontières was in a position to respond immediately due to its long-term presence in the country. MSF has deployed 100 international and 1,200 Pakistani staff to provide medical care, particularly disease prevention, and resettlement services. Other organizations, UN SPIDER Pakistan's Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission received assistance through the Space Aid Framework of the United Nations Platform for Space-Based Information for Disaster Management and Emergency Response during the first phase of the disaster. Through Space Aid, Supaka was able to access post- and pre-disaster satellite data. This information was used by Pakistan's National Disaster Management Authority and relief organizations to assist response efforts and assess damages. Humanitarian NGOs such as IMAP and the Pakistan Youth Organization have been using this information for their operations as well. International Center for Integrated Mountain Development through the assistance of Sentinel-ASI and international charters provided assistance to the disaster networks in Pakistan Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission, National Disaster Management Authority, Pakistan Meteorological Department and International Agency European Commission. They were able to use our maps and geospatial databases to assist in emergency response and assessing damage extent. On daily basis near real-time flood inundation online viewer was also developed to address flood water direction and its movement which are used in humanitarian assistance. The United Methodist Church's representatives are on the ground with a project that within the week will purify more than 3.5 million litres of drinking water and benefit more than 73,000 people a day. The Methodists are also helping to bring food relief and emergency shelter to tens of thousands of Pakistanis affected by the flooding. The Pakistan Cricket Board and English cricket boards are working together to organise a fundraiser exhibition match for the benefit of flood victims. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation had raised at least $2.8 million Australian dollars for UNICEF's flood relief efforts through its nationwide radio appeal from Friday 27 August until 3 p.m. on Sunday 29 August 2010. Stockport Town Council, Cheshire started a Pakistan flood appeal on September 5, 2010. Response by individuals The Saudi King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz has donated $5.3 million from his private money. The Saudi Crown Prince Sultan Abdullah bin Abdulaziz donated $2.7 million personally. The Saudi Interior Minister Naif bin Abdulaziz Al Saud donated $2 million personally. The governor of Tabaik province in Saudi Arabia donated $1 million from his private money. The chairman of Samba Financial Group of Saudi Arabia, Isa bin Mohammed Al Isa donates $2 million from his private money. Her Highness Fatima bint Mubarak Al Khatbi, the wife of the founder and the first president of UAE, donated 5 million United Arab Emirates dirhams from her private money. The wife of Turkish Prime Minister Emin Erdogan personally donated TL 100,000 and also donated her jewelry including a precious necklace, which was very memorable and dear to her as it was given to her by her husband on their wedding. She gave it Mrs. Fawzia Gilani, wife of the Prime Minister Yusuf Reza Gilani, to be donated to a flood-stricken girl in her dowry. The Turkish people bought the necklace in an auction and gave it back to her. But she again donated it to the flood victims. When Prime Minister Yusuf Reza Gilani arrived in a camp near Dad, it was found that 8 girls from the flood's victims were to get married. So the necklace was auctioned again and was bought by chairman of NADRA, Ali Arshad Hakim for Rs 16,000, and the amount was divided among 8 girls. Ali Arshad Hakim gave this necklace to Prime Minister Yusuf Reza Gilani and once again it came back to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of Pakistan, Yusuf Reza Gilani, conferred on becoming Emin Erdogan, Hilal-i Pakistan, the highest civilian medal of Pakistan for her efforts. This necklace is now displayed in a showcase in the Prime Minister House, Islamabad, and it has become a unique symbol of Pak-Turk friendship. Turkish businesswoman Seemat Arsal donated TL 500,000 personally. Turkish businessman Zarwan Kurtuleyman Vala plus or minus bar donated TL 350,000 from his private money. Merve Tekene, a 9-year-old Turkish girl, donated her savings of $83.72 and her only doll. The Kuwait Finance House donated $2 million to Pakistan. The Kuwait Petrochemicals of Kuwait has donated $100,000 to Pakistan. The Open Society Foundation, led by George Soros, donated $5 million in addition to an initial $50,000. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation donated $700,000 for flood relief. New Zealander, Suzanne Wingate donated medical supplies, an undisclosed sum of her private money, blankets, household goods, food, clothes and toys. More importantly, she donated time managing a camp clinic in North Karachi, where she created a camp classroom and raised relief supplies from Karachi's Rotary Club. Angelina Jolie donated $100,000 to the United Nations for flood relief operations in Pakistan. Tim Beale donated $500,000 to the UN for humanitarian aid. Queen Elizabeth II made a personal donation to the relief effort for flood victims in Pakistan, giving an undisclosed amount via the British Red Cross. Response by Islamic militant organizations. Jamaat ud-Dawa, an organization which is a front for banned militant group Lashkar-e-Taiba, stated that it had 2,000 workers providing flood relief. Judi was banned by the United Nations in 2008 after the 2008 Mumbai attacks, but was openly distributing aid under the Felah-e-Insaniyat arm of the organization. Al-Rashid Trust, an organization under UN sanctions for its links to al-Qaeda, was among the first to provide aid to the flood victims. Haqqaniya Madrasa, an Islamic school with ties to the Haqqani network, converted one of their buildings into a shelter and cared for 2,500 victims. The Taliban offered to raise $20 million for flood relief if the Pakistani government rejected aid from Christians and Jews. Response by corporations. Telenor Pakistan donated $2.8 million from 2010 to 2012 along with rehabilitating 44 public schools at a cost of $1.5 million. Karachi Electric Supply Corporation was involved in the flood relief operations, providing shelter, food, medical care, electricity and purified water to approximately 30,000 people in Thatta, Sarjal, Sunda and Chalian. KESC also provided support to 4 camps in Karachi. Supplies delivered included tents, food, general household items, water purification plants, free medical treatment to around 14,600 people. In Karachi, KESC supplied free electricity to several districts. Coca-Cola announced a donation of $1 million. Deloitte, a business advisory firm, donated £1 million to the DEC appeal. Google Foundation donated $250,000 for the flood relief efforts. A corporate broadcast was sent to all employees to raise awareness about the disaster. BMO Financial Group, Canada's oldest bank, donated 100,000 Canadian dollars in support of Red Cross relief and recovery efforts. In addition, the company accepted donations through its BMO Bank of Montreal branches in Canada and its Harris branches in the United States. The company also waived fees for fund transfers and drafts to Pakistan through September 17, 2010. Dell announced a $150,000 donation to the flood victims and matched any amount donated by Dell employees. Intel donated $100,000 to American Red Cross for flood relief. In addition, Intel will match employee donations up to $2,000 per employee. A corporate broadcast was sent to all employees to raise awareness about the disaster. JP Morgan donated $100,000. Bank of America Corporation donated $50,000 to Save the Children. BP donated $1 million to the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Northwestern Mutual Foundation donated $100,000 to the American Red Cross. Microsoft donated $700,000 cash donation, deployment of disaster management software for the GOVT of Punjab at no cost, urgent food supplies to the flood victims in KPK province and software donations to various NGOs currently involved in relief activities. Turkish businessman Ert Search donated TL 300,000 on behalf of Sino Group. Criticism of response. The Pakistani government was blamed for sluggish and disorganized response to the floods. The perceived disorganized and insufficient response led to riots, with looting of aid convoys by hunger-stricken people. The lack of a unified government response allowed Islamist groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jamaat-e-Islami to supply aid with minimal resistance. Zardari was also criticized for going ahead with visits to meet leaders in Britain and France at a time when his nation was facing catastrophe. In Sindh, the ruling Pakistan People's Party ministers were accused of using their influence to redirect floodwaters from their crops while risking densely populated areas, leading Pakistani Union Ambassador Abdullah Hussain Haroon to call for an inquiry. The United Nations criticized the international community for responding slowly, despite the ferocity and magnitude of the disaster. In August 9, only $45 million in aid had been committed, which is far less than usual for this scale of disaster. In an analysis of the response to the disaster, The Guardian said that there was a dire need of relief. It quoted the UN's Humanitarian Affairs Coordination Office, saying that, X million, of the 14 million affected are children and 3 million women of childbearing age. This is a higher figure than in the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. An analysis by AP's correspondent, Nahal Tusi, suggested that the low death toll, the protracted timeline, the lack of celebrity involvement, the impression of government incompetence and donor fatigue were contributing factors. British Prime Minister David Cameron was accused by Pakistan of hampering international aid efforts after he claimed that Pakistan was responsible for promoting terrorism. Neglect of minorities. It was reported that members of Pakistan's Ahmadiyya community, who were caught up in floods in Muzaffargarh, were not rescued from their homes because rescuers felt that Muslims must be given priority. Members of the Sikh community, who arrived at Gurdwaras in Lahore, also complained of government apathy. They said members of their community were abandoned in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and had to arrange for rescues by themselves. Protests broke out in Nyari relief camp after Hindu victims of the Bagri and Wagari nomadic tribes were served beef by the authorities in violation of their religious beliefs, which forbade beef consumption. The situation was resolved after officials from the Minority Affairs Ministry intervened. Inequality. Haroon alleged that wealthy feudal warlords and landowners in Pakistan had diverted funds and resources away from the poor and into their own private relief efforts. There were also allegations that local authorities colluded with the warlords to divert funds. The floods accentuated Pakistan's sharp class divisions. The wealthy, with better access to transportation and other facilities, suffered far less than the poor. See also. References. External links: Interagency Real-Time Evaluation of the Humanitarian Response to the Floods in Pakistan, Fact Sheet 1995 a 2008 describing non-military aid given to Pakistan by OECD, Pakistan Floods Relief Support, Pakistan Floods Maps, latest news, pictures and videos. The Pacific Disaster Center has established a geospatial map service relating to the Pakistan flood event, Pakistan GIS, Pakistan Flood 2010, Floods in Pakistan International Committee of the Red Cross, updated list of relief organizations and donation resources, latest updates on floods in Pakistan, latest updates on Pakistan flood of misery coverage. At http, english.aljazeera.net, humanitarian information coverage on relief web, video, Pakistan in mass flood rescue, in pictures, floods in Pakistan, the real war on terror must begin. Pakistan Flood Pictures Part 1 and Pakistan Flood Pictures Part 2, coverage by Radio France Internationale in English, Flooding in Pakistan Earth Observatory, Flooding in Pakistan Earth Observatory, Pakistan Flood Pictures Realize the Conditions, Pakistan Floods 2010 Relief Wiki collecting and disseminating flood-related info, Pakistan Flood relief information, UN Humanitarian Chief John Holmes, the magnitude of the Pakistan floods is unprecedented. Video report by Democracy Now! Mapping Pakistan floods overview of up-to-date map sources, probable flood-affected villages, towns and infrastructure. Pakistan Floods 2010 Donate for flood victims of Pakistan, managing a disaster in Pakistan, Prevention Web 2010 Pakistan Floods, FAO, 2010 Floods in Pakistan, George Strumbula Pillows Tonight in Pakistan at the Internet Movie Database.